I went to a billionaire high school. You would think it would have been the best time of my life, but it was actually the craziest time of my life. You'll never believe what happened. I was an ordinary kid living in an ordinary house. I never dreamt that I would have the chance to go to such an expensive school, but here's how I did it. But before I go on, stop right there. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? If you have, congratulations! If you haven't, what are you doing? Quick, hit that subscribe button now! And while you're at it, tap that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more crazy stories. It all started when my teacher told me about this amazing billionaire high school. It costs millions of dollars a year in fees. Only the kids from the richest families were able to afford to go there. But this year the school was offering a scholarship to anyone who wanted to go there. All the cost would be covered by the scholarship. "You should try to apply to the scholarship, Carla," said Mrs. Green, my teacher. She gave me the application forms, and that night I sat in my bedroom reading through them. It all seemed straightforward enough, and I began to fill out the forms. I was halfway through when my older sister Tina came into my room. "Carla, have you got my blue shirt?" she asked. "No," I said. "I'm never allowed to wear your clothes." Tina was about to leave when she noticed the papers in my hand. "What's that you've got there?" she asked. I didn't want to show her. She would probably think I was stupid to even think of applying. "It's nothing," I said, but she grabbed the papers out of my hand and started reading them. "Don't waste your time with this, Carla," she said. "You wouldn't like it at a school like that." She threw the application forms into the bin and went out laughing to herself. I went over and got them out of the bin. I quickly filled out the rest of the form and hid the papers away. I'm not going to tell Tina I've applied, I thought. The next morning on my way to school, I dropped the letter into the post box. On the form, it had said that the winning candidate would get a letter by the first Monday in February. The next few weeks seemed to drag, but eventually it was the day the letter was due. I heard the letterbox rattle as the postman dropped the letters. I ran through from the kitchen, but Tina was already picking up the pile of letters. "Anything for me?" I asked casually. "No, nothing," said Tina. I was disappointed, but I didn't let her see. Oh well, maybe the letter will come tomorrow, I thought. But the next day arrived, and still no letter. 3 weeks went by, and I heard nothing. I had given up hope of any letter arriving for me, and had resigned myself to the fact that I wouldn't be going to the billionaire high school. It was a Saturday afternoon, and Mom was doing the ironing as I came through to the kitchen. "Do me a favor, Carla. Take these clothes up to your sister's room, please," said Mom. I took the pile of clothes and went upstairs. I put them on Tina's bed and was about to leave the room when I saw a letter sticking out of one of her drawers. I took it and saw that it had my name on the front. My hands were shaking, but I opened the letter and read it. "Congratulations, Carla. You've been chosen to receive the scholarship to the Billionaire High School," the letter said. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy and excited, but so angry at the same time. Why had Tina hidden the letter away? What if I had never found it? A few seconds later, Tina came into the room. When she saw I had the letter in my hand, her face fell. "Why didn't you give me the letter?" I asked. "Are you trying to ruin my life? Well, too bad you didn't succeed because I got the scholarship." Tina explained that she had only hidden the letter because she didn't want me to leave. "I will miss you so much," she cried. I couldn't stay angry with her once I found out the reason she had hidden the letter. "I'll miss you too," I said, "but I'll be home every holiday." Finally, the day came for me to leave for school. My bags were packed and I put them into the car that the school had sent for me. I hugged my mom and dad and waved goodbye. I was so excited to be going. "See you in June," I called out as we drove off. When I got to the school, I was met by the headmaster. "Come to our school, Carla," he said. "I'm sure you'll soon settle in and make lots of friends." He showed me to my room and I unpacked my things. Every student had their own room at the school. I looked out at the window. I could see other students arriving at the school. They were all in big, posh cars driven by chauffeurs. The headmaster had told me to go down to the dining room at 1 o'clock. As I made my way downstairs, I saw 3 girls about my age standing in the hallway. "Excuse me," I said to them. "Do you know where I'm supposed to go for my lunch?" They looked at me and laughed. "If you are meaning where high tea is served, then it's over there," they said as they pointed to the room across the hall. Of course posh people call it high tea, I thought to myself. I felt so stupid. I could still hear them laughing as I made my way across to the dining room. That was the first mistake of many mistakes I made. I wasn't like the other kids at the school. They spoke differently to me. They were really snobby too, especially Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin. They were the meanest of everyone. They told everyone that I was only at the school because I had won the scholarship. They made sure that everyone knew that I came from a poor family, that my parents didn't even have a car, never mind a car with a chauffeur. The only time I felt happy was when I saw Luke. I had a secret crush on Luke. He was so handsome and funny, and when he saw me sitting alone, he would smile at me. Just seeing his smile made me feel so much happier. Luke was one of the popular boys. He was tall and good-looking. I wondered why he always wore big baggy jumpers and tops. I felt sure he had a great body under all those clothes. He should show it off, I thought. Luke never really spoke to me. He was always surrounded by pretty girls. I didn't stand a chance. One day, I was heading back to their dorm when Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin came over to me. "I'm going to my family's villa in Barbados this summer break," said Charlotte. "Where are you going?" "Probably her back garden," said Verity meanly. "That's if she even got a garden," said Tamsin, laughing. Everyone else heard what they had said and started laughing and pointing at me. I was just about to run off to my room when Luke came running over. "Leave her alone," he said to Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin. "Stop being so mean." I couldn't believe that Luke had stuck up for me. After that, we became good friends. Sometimes Luke and I would hang out together after school. The school had huge grounds and we would go for a walk. I wished that Luke would hold my hand, but he had definitely put me in the friend zone. I tried to flirt with him, but he didn't seem to notice and he didn't flirt back. I realized that Luke was only going to be my friend, and that was better than nothing. I tried to ignore the mean girls, and most of the time it worked. I hoped that they would get bored bullying me if I ignored them, but I was wrong. At first, I didn't notice all the photos on the school walls. It was only as I went into the common room that I realized the photos were all of me. Somehow, someone had gotten a hold of some photos of me outside my house and had blown them up and put them all over the school. Underneath, they had written in big red letters, "How the poor people live." I was so embarrassed. Everyone was laughing, but Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin were laughing the loudest. I knew that they were behind this. Suddenly, Luke came running over to me. He looked so angry. He stood next to me and shouted to everyone, "You shouldn't care if someone is rich or poor. It doesn't matter what her family has. She earned her place at this school through hard work. Stop being mean to her." While everyone stared in shock, Luke pulled me by the arm and took me to his room. I was so happy that he had stuck up for me. He must really like me, I thought. Luke was sitting on the bed when I decided it was now or never. I went over and tried to kiss him, but instead of kissing me back, he just pushed me away from him. "What are you doing?" he said. "I don't want to kiss you." I had ruined everything. I ran from Luke's room crying. When I got to my room, I grabbed my suitcase and started packing all my things. I don't want to stay here anymore, I thought. I want to go home. I had nearly finished packing when Luke walked into my room. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm leaving," I replied. "Look," said Luke, "I have something to tell you. I'm not who you think I am." With that, Luke pulled off his wig and took off his baggy shirt. I couldn't believe my eyes. Standing in front of me was my big sister, Tina. "What are you doing here?" I cried. "I came to keep an eye on you," she said. "I had a feeling these spoiled rich kids would be horrible to you." I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. "Now that you know, we can get our revenge on them," she went on. Tina put the wig back on in her baggy shirt, and once again, she was Luke. "I have a plan," Luke said. I was too stunned to say anything because I realized I had almost just kissed my sister. But I soon calmed down and I listened to Luke's, or should I say Tina's, plan. The next day, we were sitting in the common room and I saw Tina go over to talk to Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin. "Hi, girls," she said in her fake guy voice. "Would you all like to come to a party at my house on Saturday?" What is Tina up to? I thought. The girls all said they would love to go and Tina gave them the address. When I had a chance to get Tina on her own, I asked her what their plan was. She told me that she had invited the girls to a haunted house and she was going to need my help to prank them. Saturday night came around and Tina and I waited at the haunted house. The 3 girls arrived and Tina took them into the lounge. She got them a drink and sat down with them chatting. "Oh, I better warn you," she said in that guy voice of hers. "This house is haunted. We have a ghost." I was hiding in the room next door. I began to make some spooky noises. "What's that noise?" said Charlotte in a scared voice. The other girls looked at her petrified. That was my chance. I jumped through the door. I was dressed all in white and they actually believed I was a ghost. They ran out of the house screaming. "Mom! Mom!" they shouted as they ran down the driveway. "I want my mom!" Tina and I sat laughing. "Did you get all that on video?" I asked. "I sure did," said Tina, laughing. "Now we just need to wait for the perfect time to show everyone." We didn't have to wait long. The following month was the end of the school term. To celebrate, the headmaster had told us that we could have a movie night. Luckily, Tina was on the committee organizing the evening. She volunteered to be in charge of setting up the video. The whole school gathered in the main hall and sat waiting for the movie to start. I sat at the back. I wanted to make sure I could see everyone's faces. The video began to play, but instead of the opening credits of the film, we saw Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin running out of the house crying like babies. The whole school started laughing, everyone except the three main girls.
"Oh, do you want your mommy?"
a boy said to Charlotte.
"Were you scared?"
asked another one. Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin walked towards me. "We know you did this," they said. "Why would you embarrass us like that?" I was about to answer when Tina came striding over.
"It wasn't Carla, it was me,"
she said. As she said it, she took off her shirt and wig. "Wait, are you a girl?" asked Charlotte. "Yes," said Tina. "I am a girl, and what's more, I am Carla's big sister." Charlotte, Verity, and Tamsin all gasped. "And nobody gets away with being mean to Carla when I'm around," said Tina. Tina put her arm around me and we walked out of the hall. "I don't think you'll be getting any more trouble from those three," she said. And she was right. I didn't.
Amber walked into the room. She was just as beautiful as I remembered. I couldn't take my eyes off her. She used to go to the same school as me, but when her dad got a new job, they had moved away. I had always had a big crush on her, but she never seemed to notice me. I was so happy when my parents told me that Amber's family was moving back to our town. Maybe now I would get a chance to date her. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any more crazy stories. My parents were throwing a welcome back party for Amber and her family. It should have been the perfect time for me to spend some time with her, but it seemed like every other boy in town had the same idea. Every time I tried to talk to her, another guy would cut in, and they were all showering her with compliments. "Amber, you look so cute. Amber, your hair is so nice. How did you get so fit?" Fortunately though, Amber didn't seem interested in any of them. She just ignored their compliments. That was until Richard came into the room. He was the son of one of the wealthiest families in our town. He went straight over to Amber and said, "Hey, I heard you were back. I've got you a present." Amber's eyes started to light up at his words. She turned around to look at him. He handed her an expensive-looking blue box. "Go on then," he said. "Open it." Amber opened it and gasped. "Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous." Inside the box was a pearl necklace. I could tell just by looking at it that it must have cost a small fortune. Amber and Richard spent the rest of the evening chatting and laughing together. It was obvious that the way to get Amber's attention was to buy her an expensive gift. But I didn't have any money. No way would my parents give me that sort of money either. After everyone went home, I sat in my room thinking about Amber. I knew that I had to find a way to get her an expensive gift. Suddenly, it was like a light bulb had lit up in my head. I knew what I had to do. I didn't need to buy her something expensive. All I had to do was find a way to make a cheap gift look like something very expensive. I remembered how when we were kids, we used to collect stones at the beach and paint them. I went out to the garden to look for the perfect stone. It had to be smooth. I found what I was looking for and took it back to my room. I painted it a shiny black color and put it on a chain. I put it into a nice box with tissue to make it look expensive. After school the next day, I waited at the school gates for Amber to come out. Eventually, I saw her, and luckily, she was alone. "Hi, Amber," I said. "Oh, hi, She obviously had no idea who I was. "It's Toby," I said. "My parents threw your family the welcome back party." "Oh, yes, thanks. It was great." "I've got you a present." I handed Amber the box and she opened it up. "Is that what I think it is?" she asked. I smiled and nodded. "Yes, it's a black diamond." "But they're so expensive. Why would you spend so much money on me?" "Because I think you're amazing." "You are so generous. Thank you so much." I knew that this was the perfect time, so I plucked up the courage and asked her if she would like to go on a date with me. To my surprise, she actually said yes. I had never felt happier in my whole life. I couldn't believe that my plan had worked out. We swapped numbers and arranged to go out the following weekend. Friday night came, and I went to meet Amber at the movies. I went to buy the tickets and was just about to go inside when Amber stopped me. "Wait, "Aren't you going to get some drinks and popcorn?" she asked. I started panicking inside. I didn't have any more money with me. I had no idea what I was going to do. "Sure," I said. "You go find the seats and I'll go get something." I waited about 5 minutes and then went inside to find Amber. "Sorry, the popcorn machine is broken and they've sold out of the drinks," I said. Amber looked at me a bit strangely. I thought she was going to say something, but then the movie started and she turned to look at the screen. I let out a sigh of relief. We hadn't been on that many dates when I began to realize that Amber wasn't the one for me. She was constantly asking for things, and if I didn't get her what she wanted, then she went in a big mood and ignored me. She was so materialistic. I really didn't like that about her. It all came to a head when we were in town shopping one day. Amber had seen a new pair of shoes that she wanted. She kept on and on about them. "Oh, Toby, please buy me those shoes. I love them so much." "I'm sorry, Amber," I said. "I'm not getting you the shoes." Her face fell. "If you loved me, you'd buy me the shoes." "Right, that's it. We're over," I screamed. "Are you dumping me?" she asked. I felt a bit mean and didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I just said that it wasn't her, it was me. I told her that I just needed some time on my own. Now that I wasn't dating anyone, I had a lot of time on my hands, a lot of time to think. That's when it came to me. If I had managed to fool Amber with the necklace, maybe I could fool other people too. So that's how my business began. I started making lots of different colored necklaces out of stones and sold them online. It wasn't long before my business took off. Everyone wanted one of my necklaces. I could hardly make them quick enough. I expanded my business and rented a factory and office space. Now I had a whole production team working for me, and the money just came rolling in. I couldn't believe it when I saw the figures on my bank statement. I was a billionaire. I started really living the high life then. I bought the best designer clothes and ate in the most expensive restaurants in town. I also looked after my family. My parents had never had a new car, so imagine their faces when I gave them the keys to a brand new Mercedes. "Toby, that's so thoughtful of you," said my mom. At first, I was happy to keep on giving them the things that they needed, but after a while, it seemed like every time I saw them, they were asking me for something. "We've been thinking about going on a cruise," my dad said as we sat down for dinner. "Do you think you could book it for us, Toby?" I didn't know what to say. I was really getting fed up with my parents. It was me that had made all this money, and they did nothing but take, take, take. "That's it," I shouted. "I've had enough. No more helping you out. It's time you two stood on your own 2 feet. I stormed out of the kitchen and up to my bedroom. But I couldn't get away from them. They kept on knocking at my door, trying to get me to change my mind. So eventually, I knew there was nothing else for it. I would have to move out. I decided I would go and live as far away from them as possible. I bought myself a small island on the Caribbean and moved into a beautiful home there. It was easy to run my business from home because everything I needed to do could be done remotely. For a while, I just kept to myself. I didn't want to be near anyone. But I soon began to get bored with my own company. So one evening, I went into town to check out the nightlife. That's when I met Paula. She was out with a group of her friends. I noticed her as soon as they came into the room. She was laughing at something one of her friends had said, and the sound of her voice made my heart sing. When I saw her go to get some drinks, I went and stood next to her. I made some stupid comment about the weather. "Is that your best pickup line?" she asked, laughing. It might not have been the best thing I could have said to her, but she agreed to go out with me, and it wasn't long before we were getting serious. I knew that she was the one for me, and she was the complete opposite of Amber. She didn't care about expensive presents. She loved me for who I was, not what I could give her. So I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. We got married at the little church on the island. It was the perfect day. "Where do you want to go on our honeymoon?" I asked her. "Oh, we don't need a honeymoon," she said. "Living here is like a full-time honeymoon." It was true. Living on our little island was all we needed, but I still wanted to do something special for her. The following morning, I decided I would go into town and book a surprise holiday for her. I told Paula that I needed to go get some groceries and set off in the car. I parked and was just about to set off to the travel agency when I suddenly felt someone grab me from behind. I tried to struggle, but it was useless. There were 2 of them, and I didn't stand a chance. They blindfolded me and put me into a car. "What do you want with me?" I shouted. "Leave me alone. You have to let me go." But they just ignored me. The car drove for about 10 minutes and then turned down a bumpy track. I had no idea where they had taken me to. If you're thinking of asking for a ransom for me, then you're wasting your time, I said. My parents don't have any money. The car stopped and they dragged me out. They took me into the building. I could tell by the damp smell that it was probably an abandoned warehouse or something. They took the blindfold off. I couldn't focus for a few seconds, but once I could see properly, I got the shock of my life. "What are you two doing here?" I asked. Standing in front of me was my parents. "Why would you kidnap me?" Then, something even more shocking happened. The door opened and in walked Amber. Now I was really confused. "What's going on here? What do you want from me?" "We know what you have done," my dad said. "We know that you have been scamming everyone with your fake necklaces." My heart sank. "What are you talking about?" I asked. I tried to deny it, but they knew everything. Apparently, Amber had taken her necklace to a jeweler to get it cleaned, and the truth had come out. After that, she had put 2 and 2 together and realized that's how I had made so much money. She had gone to my parents, and they had come up with a plan to blackmail me. "You give us $10 million each, or we're going to tell everyone what you have done," Amber said. I had no choice. "Okay, you win," I said. "I'll pay you, but you have to promise you will leave me alone." They all agreed that they would never bother me again, so I paid them the money. I know it's a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, it was worth it. It hurt me that my own parents would do something like this, but I guess this just gave me all the more reason to stay as far away from them as possible. After they got their money, I didn't see them again. I went back to my office to work. I had missed going to work there every day. It was nice to be back. It was about a month later. I was sitting at my desk when I suddenly heard an almighty crash. I jumped up out of my chair and went to see what was going on. But before I had a chance to open my office door, it came crashing in. The room filled with police officers. "Put your hands up! You're under arrest!" one of them screamed. "It's a mistake. I haven't done anything," I said. "It's no mistake. You've been scamming people." I couldn't believe that my parents and Amber had gone back on their word. How could they do this to me? The police took me to the police station. They took me into a room and told me to wait there. It seemed like an eternity before I heard the door open. "There's someone here to see you," said the officer. I looked up. My parents were standing in the doorway. They came into the room and the officer left. "How could you do this to me? You promised you wouldn't tell anyone," I said. "We didn't say anything to anyone," said Mom. "We were as surprised as you when we found out." "Well, if it wasn't you, then it must have been Amber. Let me borrow your telephone." I called Amber and said the same thing to her, but she promised that it hadn't been her that told the police. I knew she wasn't lying. I could tell by her voice. I was so confused. If it wasn't my parents or Amber, who else could it be? The door opened and a policeman came in. "Come with us. You're going to meet with our witness." I followed him to a room at the end of the corridor. He opened the door and I looked in. I couldn't believe my eyes. "Paula," I gasped. "Why did you do this to me?" She looked at me sadly. "I'm sorry, Toby. I just wanted you to lead an honest life." "But our life is so good. We have everything." "I know we do, but I couldn't risk the father of my unborn child being locked up in prison." I looked at Paula in shock. "Are you pregnant?" "Yes, I am." Luckily, the police let me off with a warning, as long as I agreed to stop scamming people. It was a small price to pay now that I was going to be a dad.